A very good morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you who have joined us today. I'm Rashika, one of the co-founders at ProApp. And first of all, thank you for joining in today. It's a Saturday again, and I'm very excited to see all of you and interact all of you on Saturdays and now even on Fridays. Cool. So the workshop today is around learning how to enhance the user experience by ensuring that every interaction that your user is gonna have is something they remember. And we have Regu with us today. Regu has been designing for B2B SaaS in the supply chain management industry. His experience lies around interaction design and UX design for unique personas like manufacturers and suppliers. That's interesting. We have never had someone who has designed for manufacturers and suppliers before. Okay, when he's not designing, he watches anime to get himself motivated. Regu, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a pretty good introduction. And thank you for people who have joined here. Of course, like I'm not going to ruin your Saturday night. So thanks for everyone. Maybe we'll just, we'll just get started. So in the start, so what is going to come up? Just remove this word. I forgot to remove from the PPT. It's a template. What's coming next is what we are going to see today is basically about the basic understanding of interaction, and there are some terms that has been evolved from Norman Don and other few people who have built some standards around user experience and interaction design, and then we're going to see about some patterns that involves in interaction and some topics about usability, how it's going to impact the usability or user experience for the user who is interacting with the platform or the product, and some examples around it. And in the final end, I'll show you a prototype on how to do a drop down, or how I did a drop down on Figma, and how to interact, how to create something like that. So let's get started with the little bit overview of interaction design. Okay, so and before going to the main topic, about interaction design in terms of computers and the digital devices, we'll look before like what we had in terms of interaction design before the computer or technological era comes in. So basically, before this artificial intelligence age, and what was there was an industrial revolution where the machines and stuff was helping the humans to achieve their goals. Right? So let's take an example like the Antic typewriter that we have here. We all may have seen in some of the movies where a user is typing and suddenly a bell rings. So that bell is the ring that the user, that the machine gives the feedback to the user, which meant that the line for the particular statement is completed. So and then what the user has to do is they have to pull the trigger manually to move to the second line and then type on it. So this is the basic before the technological stage, how the interaction works. And this is not only the example. Such a kind of example may have seen in textile industries and other industries. So imagine like if that one particular sound is not provided to the user. So they ended up typing beyond the paper right now. So that is where the inventor have identified bringing a bell sound that indicates the line has ended, and the user has to manually pull the trigger up and move to the next line to type it. So this is just the basic idea of how we can provide the interactions or feedback to the users. So and so let's go ahead with the terms and for interactions. Basically, the purpose of this interaction design is going to be, mm, sorry, just a minute. Yeah. So the main purpose, of the user has to, have the task to complete some particular goal. Say, for example, if the user has to, open the door, so that's going to be the task, and the goal is the user has to reach the other side of the door. So what the user will do is, user will tries to find a particular opening, push or pull something that the user can hold on, and then they have to push or give force to it, and that's how physical ergonomics works, right? So and that's a pretty good example of how the user can get into the other side of the door, which says task and with the help of task and goal terms. So, and this stages has been, subdivided, into some several types, as what Don Norman says. So they have he has some models to establish or introduce these stages. Say, for example, there is a establishing the goal, which says, identifying the goal and so on. And then forming an intention is the one that have to identify the intention of the achieving that particular goal. And the sequence is a thing that we'll be seeing in the next stages. The sequence is a thing like what are the actions that the user has to make to achieve that particular goal and so on. And then achieving that particular execution. So these first four steps are comes under the execution stages of raw normal model. So and other the fifth point, which is perceiving the system state, which is actually understanding like what is the system after the action is being performed, and interacting with that system, like how the system is performing while the user is acting on particular stages. And with respect to that, the user's goal and intention is going to be, be satisfied, or goal is to be achieved. So, and of course, the ergonomics, basic ergonomics is what we already been used to is physically that the user has to, if you are a very computer oriented person, then you have to sit straight to uh, not ruin your back. So that so those kind of standards has been already introduced in even in a physical human body, but in terms of human computer interaction, we also have standards from ISO, standards from the 3, uh, uh, and so on. So and so there are like particular styles of interaction that we can interact with a computer, which basically we can interact by command line interface, where the developers will be interacting with the particular computer, so they can be easily navigate and ask the system like what to do and what not. So and then menus, of course, like before the touch screen, we have to navigate through the menus and get in touch with the processor, or no process that the user has to do if it's a calculator or so on. The natural language is a thing that what we already have. We have to send our speech to the system and it reacts back and so on. And then another one is question and answer, for every query. For example, Google, you put into it and it gets the answer back, which is a feedback from the server and so on. And forms, fills, when then point and click and whatnot. So, and the three-dimensional is a thing like where we have like virtual environment, VR and AR, right? that's gone on trend. So those are the pretty good styles or shapes that we can implement the interaction style. And so here we'll be learning about what are the importance of interaction design. So the basically the core goal of interaction is is to make the user their moments more memorable than before. Like for example, if the user is clicking on a button, if it reacts with some pretty good animation, there is a high possibility that the user can remember it for the next time that the user comes to the same application. So, and while it gives the feedback, so the user will be taking that particular action into their mind, and then they remember it again when they come back. So, and also, there is a pretty good uh, points that we can achieve these things, which is actually, feedback patterns. So, there are a lot of feedback patterns, available right now, but I'll just explain like the most three that is more predominant. Say, for example, live preview, which we already been seeing in Google, and while the user entering some search keywords, the Google sends the code that you are typing to the system, and it reacts back with the content that you are searching for. Uh, so when you put how to, and it actually explains something on the next line, like how to learn UX and so on. So, and the password is another one more thing, in every interaction step that if you are entering a password, right? So if you go on to click on that particular password text box, it actually reacts with some other additional elements, like it will populate password validation, whether you are entering the most difficult password or not. So it says some strong, weak, and so on, right? And the another one, which is progress indicator. Say for example, if you this can be seen in a day-to-day life, like if you refresh a particular browser, it actually refresh the whole page, and it gives the users the feedback that the progress is going on, so the user can wait till we get the feedback from the server, till the system gets the feedback from the server. So, and that's how it works. Even when you upload some documents to Google Drive, or upload some photos to Google Photos, and the other thing is periodic refresh, which is actually another identification. Like if you go on to any such a data oriented applications, so say for example, if you open any tab that has particular data, particular list of table data, if you click on that menu, that data will gets loaded before uh, uh, that gets loaded when you click on it, right? So basically, if you filter that data, right? So say for example, if you want to see only one particular uh, uh, type of data, then you'll be filtering it out and looking at the data. So this probably mostly you'll be seeing it in the B2B interfaces. We can also see these kind of reactions in Google Analytics and so on. So the other thing that I importance or of user interaction is by saying Fitts law. So Fitts law, like says if the user has to perform some action, the user will it has to be very little amount of time that the user has to decide on what area that the what action that has to be done. Say for example, in a simple word, if a zombie is going to attack you, then what you will be doing is, as a user, you will be searching for what is near, and you will be throwing at it, right? So, and that is what, core idea of, it's like that your target is in front of you, and you will be uh, taking the tools that is nearby, and you'll be throwing at it. So, um, the next, the important, the purpose of, interaction is maybe the transitions. Uh, the transitions is the only, is also another thing that you can consider, each and every interaction between the objects that you see, in terms of, if you go to a website or go to an application, it opens up quickly, and it shows some animations and so on, right? So those kind of, interactions that those kind of interactions must have a transition. Say for example, some animations that will pop in or slide in, or that will move upwards and so on. Right? It depends on what depends on the scenarios, and also it depends on what kind of product that you use. So I came up with some points that you can look at it. Say for example, if an object fades away, the user know that the state is from visible to invisible, right? And that object is not particularly focusing for the users. And if an object is into the view, then the user know that something has arrived into their point of view, so that they can make an action towards it. And if a particular thing is faded away, that you can see it in some uh, websites where you have to make an action. So say for example, a warning kind of thing that will predominantly make your those kind of rapid animations makes you to click on it, or make some action on it. So, and if something that is coming up and something coming in a bigger way, then the user uh, basically the user will go on click on it, and that's the basic intention of these kind of transactions and so on. And if something moves down or disappearing from that way, then the action that is being already decided, and the user has to user has not to worry about that, so not to worry about it. And so this is the one of the things that I read in online. So basically ISO has some standards for how the computers can interact with the humans can interact with the computer. uh, Say for example, the designing these are some standards that the particular product should be applicable, or confrontable, to make their product very valuable, or uh, satisfy the users, and also the standard. Say for example, designing the interface should include making high level decision. The interaction, if any interactions that appears to the user, it makes the it should make the high level impact in terms of product and so on. And these are there's a lot more standard that you can get it from online, by googling ISO 9241. So the and then so the usability, in interaction design, right? So usability is also one of the key part that you should be interacting. I mean, the user should be interacting with the design, right? So that is and under by seeing the user is interacted uh, with a product, and you will be doing some analysis around it, and finding the most valuable or the most important use cases that you can find in where the user gets the action completed very easily. So there comes a particular topic for concentrating on user, like how the user is making an action and doing some analysis around it, and how the user is performing some action. And if they you can also send some different types of uh, variants of interaction, uh, and you can uh, give it to the user and say which and you can compare which action does it takes time to, how much time does it takes to complete. And you can actually visualize this both interactions and find which is the easier interaction that the user is performing and satisfying in a pretty short time. This also, finding a way to satisfy the Fitts law that I told you before. And there are certain measuring methods that how we can define determine the usability. Say for example, these are some of the attributes that you can use for defining the best interaction. Say for example, the one that I told is about time, and you can also perform with a percentage of task or percentage of per unit time, and the time spent in some errors, if the user is pointing out to close the error, or they're rectifying the error, and so on, and the number of commands that is used to perform the action, number of repeated failure commands, and so on. And the important thing that you can see for every interaction is the time that the user has to complete the particular action. So in terms of interaction, most probably it relies on the time and how the uh, user is the user. There is also one more law that satisfy the interaction design by the each and every transition and animation cannot exceed 400 milliseconds. So that's also one good point that I haven't included in the PPT, that you can note of it. So and I'll give you some of the important examples that I have for interaction. Um, so this is a pretty good example for interaction. So maybe before going into that, maybe I can talk to the participants, like how many of you or use the drag and drop function on a day-to-day basis. Let me copy this. Can I see? Or anyone write in the chat? Okay, there's one. Okay, cool. So, can you define like how many stages that it, how many interaction stages that it took for for implementing the drag and drop? Like I'll give you an example. The first stage will be you will be dragging a particular component, and you will be that is a stage one, and you will be dropping it into the particular area. That is going to be stage two. Say some numbers of interaction, that number of stages that you have it in your mind. Any numbers? Okay. 10. Okay, pretty good. Okay, so I'll go to this sheet. So and before going to the particular number, so this drag and drop stages may vary, depends on what kind of drag and drop that you are going to use in the platform. Say for example, uh, if you have the table row of column and and it has like 10 to 15 rows, and each row that you can able to, there is a feature called there's a feature that you can able to prioritize each row. So in that place, it will be just clicking the particular row and dropping. So this is going to be the stage one, for prioritization and so on. But uh, let me take an interesting moment. So this is a different scenario. These are some different scenarios that the user will perform the drag and drop function. So say, for example, this, you know, when the user put down the particular component, it's something, it has some full opacity and some additional uh, styles and so on, right? And here the user is initiated, you can see the palm hand, touching or holding the particular component, and the user can try to move, which reduces again to some percentage. And then, so this is where you can see the pointer that there's a some crossbar that you can't able to drop that particular component in some particular area, right? So that is a invalid target. And the other one is you can able to move that particular component, but moving the parent component and so on. And if the particular component is accepted, then it will be something like plain, it backs to normal stage. And when it gets rejected, it's something look like this. And if it's get something to drop on, I mean, in another drop down or in another area, so that has some different properties and so on. So each stages have a different properties that you can make use of it. So the user can able to easily know what is the stages that they are going, and the system uh, by implementing these kind of stages, the system should throw acknowledgement on feedback to the users, and the user will be learning, okay, this is what I have to do and this is what the right way to do and so on. So the other one, so this is pretty simple that you will all be seeing on a day-to-day basis. If something is loading, or if something is not, some data is not fetched from the server, then um, there will be opacity which is pretty low than the full version of it. And if it's gets ready, the properties and all the other components will be in a full opacity. Okay, so I'll take down. And the other one is with the chart interaction. This is basically we will be seeing on day-to-day basis. In the first place, which in this component we have a full version without interacting the particular object. And here you will be seeing, when the mouse, the cursor is placed on top of this particular blue line, then you can able to see the change of color difference, and you can able to look at the total number of Windows users who have downloaded the particular files and so on. So I'll get into the next stage. I'll get into Figma to show the prototype that I have made, and to show some example, how I made this drop down and so on. So I'll tell you, I'll just play this particular component. So okay, so this is a drop down component that you can able to click on it and choose some favorite foods that you wanted to order or something or buy or something. Say for example, if I click on biryani, then the other component, other interactions that the user can make is delete or remove it from that particular box, and then they can select any other one. Say for example, if I choose other, then what it comes is the user has to manually enter each and every letter and then shop it. So this is a small interactions that stages. This gives different stages of interaction where the user can perform it. So I'll tell you like how I made this particular component, and by following it. So this is the main component that I made it in Figma. So
Regu, we're not able to see the Figma
you're
file.
not able to see the okay.
Yeah.
Just give me a minute.
I think you might have shared a certain portion of the screen because of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No apologies for people. Should I told you earlier? Maybe I'll just walk you through this again. So you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Say this is the drop down that I made for choosing the food and so on. Say for example, if you are about to choose any favorite food, then you have to click on this particular component and see each and every stage. The user will be hovering some particular option, and they get the feedback of this particular option is hold, hovered. And if I select this, then the particular data will be populated inside the particular field, and you can able to close remove the particular selection by clicking on this, and you can make an other selection by clicking on other, and you can even type something to basically if it's not in the drop down or data, then the user can add those particular options by by their own customized version. And I'll just tell you how I made this. So I actually made this as two set of component. So this particular component is basically a default one where it has some rectangle and the text on it, and this one will have the variant. This is a variant too, which is actually hovered property. So this action this particular component the user will see when they hover on particular options by clicking on the choose button. And so these are all the different stages that the user can interact with. Say for example, this is the stage that the user see by default without clicking anything on it. And this is the stage the user when they click on something, the user see some different options below, right? And this is the stage when the user has selected some particular option. And this is the stage that where the user clicks on other. Now the user has to perform a different action where they uh, type something and so on. So these are all these you can make by having lots of stages. If the components get increased, say for example, if you place this particular component in a form structure where it has 10 to 15 different form fields, then it's going to be pretty difficult, right? If you understand that, it will be like 50 to 60 stages of each and every interaction the user has to perform. Um, so this probably mm, so maybe even I can create one with you. So I'll try to make one sample what I have made here uh, in a new form. Say, for example, I'll just create an it's just an random text box, so I'm not going to put any grid lines before getting started. So you can use a rectangle, or even you can use a frame to bring the edit text field component. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to make this as a component, so that you can make the use of it and create another more variant from a particular object. And what you can do is can add more variant out of it. Say for example, this one is going to be the variant that the user has clicked. So what you can assume that this particular object is clicked, then it turns out in a different color. You can have this as forward option. I think button should only have a forward. I'm sorry. So what you can have is we can on click and you can navigate the changes to property to this particular property, which is for variant 3. Okay. say if I'm using this particular component in a box, right? So we probably change to a clicked action. So so you can make use of this functionality from Figma. So there's a lot of things that you can do with a prototype and so on. So this is a quick example, like how you make an interaction and so on. So so this is a short introduction about how we can make use of interaction and interaction design while prototyping and so on. And over to you, Ashmika, and pretty thanks for inviting me for conducting a session on interaction design. And you can even download the app from Play Store. You can. So thank you, and you can get in touch with me for more on Regunathan.in. Yeah, over to you, Ashmika.
Yeah. Thank you, Regu, for this was a very informative session, I must say. I think you can stop sharing your screen and
Okay.
we can. So cool. So before we start with the Q&A session, I'll come again and I'll say a small thing. So, guys, since you already know about ProApp, but here are many new faces or the names which I see today. So, ProApp, if you don't know, is a place to learn all things design, which help you kickstart your design journey or grow as a designer. So, right now we have 75 plus courses. This is a 60th workshop, and we have more upcoming courses like design with data, fine arts, design for product managers, and many others. We conduct these workshops with design experts like Regu himself. We're constantly evolving and are on a very strict mission to make design learning accessible and affordable for all of you. Also, Regu, thank you so much for doing this. I think we had some questions lined up in in the chat. Also during the presentation we had one question, and guys, we have Regu for I think almost 10-15 minutes more. Pour in your questions, clear your doubts, and why not just get started with your first interaction today. After this amazing interaction it Raghu helped us create today. So it was around, the first question was around, can you help me understand with some real example or use cases where this drag and drop is used?
Okay, so maybe you can check out Notion app. So the name basically the framework's name is Kanban board. So where you can have a to-do list, and you can have what you've done and what is in progress and so on. So if you make particular task, then you can put that particular component into that particular task, and you can, if you have completed it or if you started working on particular design task, then you can move that particular component to another one which is in progress and so on. Maybe I can show you some example by sharing the screen. Yeah, so this is a basic task, and you can actually drag and drop over here. So this is one pretty good example, and another one maybe will be drag and drop and particular document into website or Google Drive and so on. Hope that's
Right.
clear.
I think Notion is the most common tool being used by designers these days. We
Yeah.
sort of do our entire mind mapping for the next modules on Notion, and I think Miro. That's good. Cool. So can Jira software be an example of it as well? Yeah, I think this.
Yeah, Jira. Of course, Jira is also. product management tool.
Can we count Wix too, where we can where we create websites using drag and drop?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Wix, Elementor, and yeah, probably Divi website builder. You can consider it as a drag and drop feature. Of course, that is also, you will be dragging some particular component from somewhere else and dropping into somewhere else. Yeah, we can count that also into as a drag and drop function.
I think any interface that provides that functionality could be counted in there.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Guys, pouring with some good questions. We have 10 more minutes. Yes, it was a pretty detailed out presentation. People don't have much questions today.
Oh, okay.
We'll wait for 2 to 3 more minutes. So, like meanwhile we are waiting. So, Raghu, how did your design journey started? Like, I'm very curious to know. How did you
Okay,
like
yeah,
got to know that this is the
know
right
about this.
field for you?
Okay. Maybe I'll just go ahead to my final years of college. There is a one pretty good subject which is I still remember. That's called human computer interaction. So it's my
Right, right.
elective.
HCI.
So so uh, you can also see the drag and drop function. There is a pretty good example uh, which is I think written by Brad something. I think his name is Bill or Brad Scott, something like that. I couldn't remember the author's name, but there is a book which is published by my university, and yeah, pretty good book. So I learned from there, and what my journey started, in is when I was in college, pretty good interested in uh, coding and also designing as well. So I wanted to fit in myself, between where I can learn and grow and so on. So I just started, exploring more about it, and then I placed myself into this field. But
So you started as an
that's sure.
interaction designer?
No, I started as a basic designer, and then moving forward, the industries. While the industry evolves, I want to learn it and grow. So I learned on online and getting some course and interviewed and mentored some with some people, and yeah, that's how I learn and grow.
I think from
Maybe
our
it's
team
a
also,
short, yeah.
I think from our team as well, we have an amazing interaction designer in the attendees today. Huge cheer out to
Uh-huh.
Amok. So all the videos that we create. So
Okay,
Amok helps us a lot in that. So
interesting.
I think it's interesting. I We have a course on ProApp on interaction design, and while I was going through it, I was very curious to understand that how psychology plays a very important role in it,
Role, yeah.
and how you can just understanding the basic emotions or the human emotions, just
Mm,
implementing them directly in terms
mm,
of interaction, just replicating them is something uh,
mm,
which comes out to be a very very great interaction that forms the root for a
mm,
great interaction. So maybe
mm.
just what do we call? So I'll I won't bore you much, but there's a chimney at my house, and when I have
Uh-huh.
to switch on that chimney, I just have to wave my hand like this, You do it like this and it will be turned off. But I find it pretty annoying because that's not how would
Oh,
I would
yeah.
like actually want to turn on the chimney. Right? I don't want to wave my hand like this and say hi to a non-living object. Right? So I think just normal a switch on and off or just understanding the present, which is a basic human emotion or human understanding, which I think that's just what a designer needs to understand when it comes to all of this. And I think that
Interesting.
and that
As you
is the first
said,
step
yeah, yeah.
to become a
As you
great
said,
designer. Yeah.
ha, ha, ha. Yeah. So as you said, the interaction and stuff, right now, there was, I read somewhere else, even the ISO 9241, they actually provide lots of standards to provide interaction to the users. They based on their research, I read how they have come up with this kind of data and standards, right? They have researched with some set of users who is sitting on a room, and they've been watching how they perform into that particular computer, not without knowing the user. So they actually sit in front of uh, behind the glass and see how the user interact with the product and so on. And then they are standardizing it by making the product used for 10 to 15 people and understand and analyze and so on, and then derive those kind of standards, things like that.
Also, I think it's very crucial to understand not to overdo it. So, like where to draw
Yeah.
that line. If you like, I'm saying waving high to a chimney is not something I would really want to do to switch it off.
Got it.
So I think that drawing that line is also very essential. That this is something which is actually useful, or this is something which is causing more complexity to the product. So okay, we have one question from Khushbu. What are the specific roles and tasks which comes under interaction design when you're working in a company? Maybe the type of design challenges in short that you might face.
So, Kushbu, like I would say, it depends on the organization that you choose. So basically, if you go for startup or medium of 2 to 3 designers team. So basically, all the roles that all the things that all the responsibility that you will be having is which is included the interaction design that you have to provide or deliver your interaction designs to the developers. So, but if you go to a bigger organization which has massive product and has a billions of users like Google and Microsoft and so on, they have a pretty specific role for interaction design because of time and other things, because you will be working on visual design and another person will be working on interaction and so on. That is going to be a team's effort. So but if it's a three designers company or 3 to 5 designers company, then it's doesn't matter the role, but your deliverables will be included the interaction design. When you go to the engineering team or developer team, then you will be having a set of document, or you can even build interaction library where it says you can click on this and you will achieve this. Even the design system can help to achieve these kind of stuff. So it depends on the company that you are working with. But in terms of interaction design, probably you can have design system that will solve every interaction design problem moving forward. That just one more additional suggestion that I have for you.
I hope that answers your question, Khushbu. Cool. Okay, so since we don't have yes, it does. Cool. Since we don't have many more questions, so I think we can. Okay, we have one. There can be some complex interaction designs. How do you hand it to the dev team?
It depends on the complexity. Maybe if you have a pretty complex interaction, what you can have is, as I showed you on the drag and drop, the table, right? So what you can have, you can build a template around it. Say, for example, if a user is landed on first, and then the user has provided or given some action and so on the left column, and then you can derive each and every action or each and every action that the user perform. This is the property that should have something like that. You can provide to the developers so that they can understand more of it and what. But the pretty good way is you should have that particular document, and also you can prototype it. If it's a complex, of course you are the one who's going to prototype it, right? So and you will need to know each and prototype each and every steps, and then hand it over to dev team by sharing the screen, or even demo could also be better. Instead of sharing the design, you can bring the developer team even the QA team inside and demo them about the interaction idea that you have with Figma.
So the prototype which we on Figma which you made, so like can they use it for like helping them understand how they like what they really want to achieve, or will that be an add-on task for the designers?
Which one?
So you just
Pardon.
using the prototype feature or
Uh-huh.
tool of Figma, can that
Uh-huh.
also be uh, a way to help developers understand what the designer is actually trying to achieve?
Of course, yeah, it helps the user, helps the developer, right? They can understand. So basically, the idea of prototype is to, have a look at the product without building the product, right? So it's called, that's why it is called as a prototype, right?
Right, right,
So you can imagine, you can, ideally, create an particular product, without building it, and without building it, in terms of logically, you can have an overlook. It's kind of a blueprint for a building, right? So that's the
right.
prototype, or a 3D object for a construction, constructing a building. So that is what, the prototype means. Now, definitely it will help developers, to understand, or uh, what is the thing that comes next, and they can able to achieve those kind of goals too.
Cool. I think we can call it a wrap if you guys don't have any further questions. So thank you everyone for joining in today, and I'm sharing Regu's LinkedIn URL in the chat section so that you can connect with him later if you further have any doubts and you weren't able to discuss in the session. So I'm pasting that over there. And just to remind you that I'll just send the link in the chat again, the link to purchase the premium subscription. Reach out to support@proapp.design if you face any further issues. And yeah, thank you for joining it. And thank you for supporting. And thanks to the design community for all the love and support they have for each other and helping each other grow. And special thanks to you, Regu. Have a great,
Yeah,
great
thank you.
weekend and Saturday.
Have a good day. Have a good day all. Bye.
Bye bye.